All right, Ryan, let's move on to the Diddy trial.
Yes, so Sean Diddy Combs is not walking out of the courthouse a free man, but he thought he might for a second. So he was acquitted. We could put this first element up on the screen. He was acquitted on the most serious charges, the racketeering charge and the sex trafficking charges. But he did get found guilty on 2 counts of transporting prostitutes. He did not get hit with any domestic violence charges because they were outside the statute of limitations.
Yeah.
Right? And so Diddy collapsed to the floor and praying. Do we have that? Do we have that image of him like praying
there
on his seat there? Yeah. He thanked the jurors, and then it did seem like he felt like he was about to get out, and the judge said no.
Yep.
Interestingly, cited the domestic violence that was in the case as a reason why she was not giving bail before sentencing, or he, she or he. The judge.
The judge.
I didn't watch enough
Great
of the
question.
case. Which is interesting because clearly he was guilty. It's on video, but he was not tried for it.
Right.
So it's this gray area where bail and accusations can have an interplay that leads to you being behind bars. But clearly the jury felt that it was not a conspiracy.
Right.
And what Diddy had argued, or Diddy's lawyers had argued, is that yes, there was a plan to have these freak-offs.
Yep.
And they were organized. And in that sense, there was a conspiracy because he would tell, hey, you do the drugs, you do the baby oil,
yep.
You bring the women.
Yep.
And he had an overarching kind of leverage campaign that he would use with women, where some would be getting $10,000 a month in child support. Others would have an emotional connection. Others, there's various ways that he got them involved. Plus some, according to them, and seems credible, fear of violence. So there are all these pieces, but they made this kind of loophole argument almost that the other people were not partners in a conspiracy.
Right.
They were just his flunkies who he paid to do work. And that if you could use RICO for this, you could use RICO for anything where you didn't, single-handedly carry out every aspect of the crime. Like, if you go and buy a handgun and then commit a crime with it, and it was just a business transaction with the gun owner, did you conspire with the gun owner?
Right.
Even if the gun owner knew what you were going to do, that would be and the point is that would be a different crime.
Right.
That's the underlying crime.
Right.
But layering conspiracy on top of it doesn't get you there. That is my guess at trying to get into the jurors' mindset. What did you think of the response?
Yeah, I think
what's your response to the jury's response?
No, I think that's right. I think the RICO is starting to look like an over-prosecution. Bundling everything into a RICO is starting to look like a real mistake. And you will be shocked to learn that one of the leading prosecutors on this case is Megyn Kelly, who's James Comey's daughter.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's just wild stuff. But it looks like a really overconfident prosecution team. To be clear, he could end up with 20 years in prison. So he was denied bail. He has to stay in prison until his sentencing, which is on October 3rd. So he's still got a ways to go, but he could still also get 20 years.
It's probably unlikely, right? So there's 2 charges and they're 10 years maximum, right? So if they were served one after the other and both the maximum, then he could get 20 years.
Right.
But this is when sentencing guidelines come in, and you have to kind of set aside who he is and what we know about the case. And pretty sure he's a first-time offender. Does he have any other charges from before?
Yeah.
Does he?
Yeah.
What does he have?
He's been involved in so many things.
He's got a bunch of lawsuits.
There was I'm trying to remember whether he got charged for it, but there was the J-Lo.
Bet Mac is already scrambling.
Yeah, Mac, send this to us, producer Mac. But there was the J-Lo shooting. There was the nightclub, fire that people died in that he was implicated in.
Right, did he catch charges on any of that, though?
Right, that's a good question. By the way, he is 55. So if he gets 20 years and serves out 20 years, he'll be an old man before he gets out of prison. But
right, and my guess is that he definitely will not
serve all 20 years.
No, I don't think. I don't think even close. Even Now, there's some indication from the fact that he was denied bail here that the judge is going to go as hard as they feel like they can get away with, but I'd be very surprised.
I think he was acquitted of murder in the first, I think there was like a big, if I'm remembering correctly, there was a big case in the nightclub murder situation. This would have been around 2000. And I want to say he was acquitted of that, actually. Let's take a listen to Megyn Kelly's reaction, followed the case very closely and had some legal experts on when the news came down. We'll go ahead and take a look at this next clip.
Combs shook his head vigorously and put his hands together in prayer. Oh, it's all just so chummy inside the courtroom for this disgusting pervert female abuser who I can't believe is about to roam our streets again. I'm sorry, I'm disgusted by this verdict. This is fucking ridiculous. I just find it absolutely outrageous, the amount of crime that this guy just got away with. I believe he committed arson. He definitely battered Cassie. He battered Jane too. The statute of limitations for battery in Los Angeles and California is 1 year. 1 year. So if they didn't charge him for battery within 1 year, and they couldn't because he bought the tape and it remained hidden thanks to those security guards out there, then they could never charge him with that again. There's no question. He dragged her back into that hotel room. Why wasn't that kidnapping? They only talked about the kidnapping of Capricorn Clark, who was his sort of main assistant, because she said he grabbed her and made her go with him over to Kid Cudi's house. There's no question he broke into Kid Cudi's house, in my view, and that he opened up the Christmas presents and locked the door in and made a threat. There's no question in my mind he was behind the arson of Kid Cudi's car, and there was proof, plenty of proof to prove that. There was female fingerprints they found on that, the firebomb that was left there, the Molotov cocktail. And the prosecution said there's no question he didn't do it himself, but he said, I'm going to bomb Kid Cudi's car. It's in writing. Cassie Ventura emailed her mother saying, oh my God, he's threatening to bomb his car. And 2 weeks later, it got bombed. Oh gee, it was just some third party who also had, it's just like the proof was there. Yeah. The beatings, the threats that if they didn't go back into those rooms and get off with these male escorts, that they were gonna get beaten. The testimony from that Daniel Phillip, who was the male escort, who heard Combs abusing Cassie behind the door, and she was screaming, I'm sorry, as he heard him slapping her. Get back out there. She came back out. She was shaking. She got back into the escort's lap, physically shaking. She was so scared to the point where that guy couldn't perform sexually because this was so horrifying to him. What in the actual F went on in there?
Yeah, so I feel like that's probably the general public's reaction. It's just baffling. And it seems, Ryan, like the prosecution in that clip, at least one of the legal experts goes on to kind of blame the jury. But I would think that the onus for the failure here has to lie with the prosecution.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's very hard to lose a federal case. Yeah. Like, it's like their conviction rate is absolutely through the roof. And so, yeah, they clearly own the blame for this. You know, we didn't cover this trial a whole bunch, but whenever we did, and I would look into it, I remember, I would think, like, they're really leaning into the emotional aspect of this. How poorly he treated Cassie and these other women, and how just what an absolutely, like, repulsive lifestyle he was leading, using violence and emotional manipulation to pull these multi-day freak-offs off. But I remember thinking every time, like, okay, but what are the crimes here? Like,
the Cassie one was obvious.
Yes, the violence.
Yeah.
But then that's out of the statute of limitations.
Right.
The drugs, no charge.
Right.
Prostitution, convicted. But, like, beyond that, like, where's and trafficking is an interesting, like, concept and charge. It's like,
it's an interesting way to get them.
If you pay someone, if you pay a prostitute to get in a car, and then go to a hotel for a freak off, did you traffic them there?
Right. And it's like
so what does that mean?
Yeah. No, I mean, that's a really good point. And so I guess partially another thing is it's not that it was...
Clearly the jury was like, that's not trafficking. That's paying a prostitute.
And it's not necessarily easy for the prosecution then to build a case based on all... And I think a lot of it also is him. So he's alleged to have drugged people many, many times.
Which would be a crime, but they didn't charge that.
Right. And I think because it looks like they were overconfident and started bundling things into the RICO case, thinking that they had him dead to rights on racketeering, because they could.
He clearly conspired to organize these freak-offs, but the jury was like, not really illegal.
Right.
Except that most of the pieces within it are actually illegal.
Yeah. Right, within it, yes.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we were just looking up his criminal history. He has been charged many, many times. He was...
He never got charged for the 9 people dying, which he should have been charged with some type of negligence there.
It's a pretty...
If everybody probably knows about this case. There was a stampede at a event that he put on.
It's like 1992.
Where he knew, I've got it here, December 91, where he knew that too many people were there, didn't care. Yeah. Wanted too many people to be there for the spectacle. 9 people end up dying, doesn't get charged for that. He got 1996, convicted of criminal mischief for threatening a photographer with a gun. So that's a conviction.
Yep.
That's something that the judge can point to.
That's where that's a pretty easy denial of bail predicate right
and
there.
then in 99, Combs and his bodyguards are charged with attacking, this is PBS I'm reading from, or attacking Interscope Records music executive over a dispute over music video. He was sentenced to an anger management course. Didn't work. But at least that's something on the record that the judge can then point to. December 99, he's arrested on gun possession charges for that nightclub shooting that you mentioned, where Jennifer Lopez
was in the car, and
3 people got wounded.
A woman still says that Diddy is the one who shot her in the face. Yeah. Yeah,
there are people that say that he was shooting and that he shot her.
Yep.
He was later charged with offering his driver $50,000 to claim ownership of the 9mm that was found in the car.
Yep.
We know from this trial that him offering to pay people to get out of trouble is something that he does.
Right.
So that's a quite credible charge there. However, he was then acquitted of all charges. Mm-hmm. Old Shine took the fall for that. So the judge can point to the arrest, but you're not supposed, if you're arrested and convicted, that's not really supposed to factor into your sentencing, because you're supposed to have been found, like innocent is supposed to mean innocent. Doesn't always mean that, but that's what it's supposed to mean. Then he got arrested in 2015. He looks like he got in a fight at a UCLA game where his son was playing football, but the charges were dropped.
Mm-hmm. This is why 50 Cent referred to him yesterday as the gay John Gotti.
Nothing's sticking to him. Teflon Diddy.
Yeah. I mean,
it's
really,
all that baby oil.
He's just slippery.
Yeah, slip right off.
Yeah.
And then these charges.
It is Gotti-esque.
So he has not 0 criminal record. He has a very long criminal record. Most of it ending with acquittals or like misdemeanor stuff. Yeah. So that's why it's going to be a real stretch for the judge to hit him with this, the maximum. And even if she does, he'll appeal this. So I expect he'll be walking free in a matter of several years, like 5, 10 max.
Unbelievable. Well, on that note, Ryan.
And a lot of people took a lot of risks.
Come forward.
Yeah. And that they are suffering greatly right now.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. The trial was just awful. It was one of those ones that was just hard to follow because Cassie was testifying about all of this while she was pregnant. It was just a really, really dark trial. And I forget, I want to say this was on Hulu. Someone did a fantastic documentary into the sort of influences emotionally on that sort of forged Diddy, like how did he become who he became? And it is just incredibly sad and dark. So, I hope that there's at least some closure for people who suffered from this.
And I was saying yesterday, I actually liked doing the show without the laptop here because fewer distractions. On the other hand, when it comes to something I really don't remember, which is like Diddy's criminal record, it's actually helpful.
It's not at the top of your mind.
To have it here, yeah. I knew he'd been in and out of trouble, but yeah. So my memory actually served mostly correct. He's basically gotten out of all the jams that he's been in.
Yeah, but there's so many of them. I mean, I think that's when you look it up, you're just like, holy smokes. It's Gotti-esque.
Yes.
It is.
So no Friday show It's July 4th. We'll be independent of our laptops in the morning. Happy Independence Day to everybody. Hope you enjoy the fireworks or a barbecue or whatever you're up to.
Yeah.
We'll be back on, somebody will be back on Monday.
Yeah, I think
promise.
Crystal and Saga are back
There
on
you go.
Monday. So great news.
Yes.
you get rid of us.
Yeah, we promise they'll be here.
Yeah. Well, no, we don't. Can't make promises.
They're going to try very hard.
They will be, well, maybe they'll get caught up in the system like we did.
There you go.
Hey, if you like that video, hit the like button or leave a comment below. It really helps get the show to more people.
And if you'd like to get the full show ad-free and in your inbox every morning, you can sign up at breakingpoints.com.
That's right. Get the full show, help support the future of independent media at breakingpoints.com.